Since the mid-1990s, the NBA desperately has been looking for the next Michael Jordan, that one singular player who could transcend the sport and become the greatest player in NBA history. And there's been many guys dubbed the next Jordan, from Grant Hill and Kobe, all the way to Vince Carter and LeBron James. And specifically looking at LeBron versus Jordan, this overall debate is 100% media driven, from ESPN and Fox Sports all the way to social media. And for the better part of last decade, talking heads, younger NBA fans have pushed the false notion LeBron James has surpassed Michael Jordan.
You serious?
And looking at those two guys specifically, Sharp and Wright, I've done countless videos on them debunking their terrible arguments. But here's the thing, their terrible arguments aren't limited to just this sport and this comparison, as over the weekend, I saw some eerie comparisons between Mahomes and Brady that rivaled LeBron versus Jordan, and what I saw was the same old tactics being used against Jordan now being used against Brady.
Would you rather have Brady or Mahomes for a one-game win or go-home situation?
I'm taking my homeboy.
It is more of the same. While the record is closer, it is still in Mahomes' favor. From completion percentage, far better. Again, all the statistics will really favor Patrick Mahomes.
You sit on a throne of lies.
And look, I do understand it. Debating who the greatest of all time is drives sports and drives debate shows. But to see those two ardent LeBron James fans using the exact same tactics against Brady they used against Jordan was pretty eye-opening. One of their go-to tactics, ignoring era differences, stats with zero context, championships not mattering, and accolades being tossed aside. And Nick Wright, being a stat man if there ever was one, his comparison to Brady vs. Mahomes was just, it lacked so much context. As the early 2000s NFL was practically a different sport, as now in the 2020s, it is glorified flag football.
Here comes the rush, and here's the hit, and a wide.
Homecoming.
Personal foul, roughing the passer on the defense.
And when it comes to these blind comparisons, era versus era, player versus player, the average Joe really doesn't care or have the time to go in depth with these stats. But if you do have the time, have the passion to do so, you realize very quickly the NFL NBA of yesteryear is much harder than those two leagues today. And that's why stats with zero context just drive me crazy. For example, look at Kendrick Perkins and his no context stat comparison. As just like Nick Wright, this comparison is the bare bones of a basketball debate, comparing LeBron James, his last three finals, versus Jordan, and his last three finals. And of course, this graphic was made in 2018. The implication of this graphic is pretty simple. What it's arguing is LeBron James putting up better raw numbers somehow proves beyond a shadow of a doubt championships and winning are overrated and purely a team accomplishment.
Oh, you crazy.
Of course, that overall notion is a total cope for Jordan and Brady having more championships than Mahomes and LeBron. But going more in detail, look at the differences in eras. The last three finals Jordan played in, 96, 97, and 98, his Bulls team averaged 89.6 points, compared to Jordan at 31.1. That means MJ scored an astounding 34.7% of his team's total points. Keep that in mind. Now looking at LeBron James, in his Cavaliers team's finals, 2016, 17, and 18, his Cavs team averaged 110.9 points per game, compared to LeBron himself at 32.0. Now look, pretty simple. LeBron's raw numbers, he averaged more points than Jordan, but percentage-wise, accounted for only 28.8% of his Cavaliers team's points. The overall concept right here is pretty simple. MJ averaging 31 points per game with his Bulls team in the late 90s is vastly more impressive and harder than LeBron averaging 32 points from 2016 to 2018. And as basic as it gets, scarcity equals value. A pretty simple concept that applies to those two players very, very well. Also, when looking at this comparison, what it lacks is any defensive context to how good those players were at that point. as Michael Jordan, 3 straight years, was first team All-Defense, compared to LeBron James, who most years was a below average defender, giving little or no effort on that end of the court.
Turns into a wide open jumper.
You're LeBron James, you have to give effort getting back.
That's garbage.
And if you actually watch those 2 series, LeBron losing versus the KD Warriors, having 2 daggers put in his face to seal championships. The stat sheet doesn't show that. Now, speaking of stats, one thing I do want to address is those rebounds. As looking at the 2016-2018 finals, LeBron's rebounds largely were uncontested and unimpressive. As in 2016, 72.2% LeBron rebounds were uncontested, and of the entire series, ranked 3rd in contested rebounds, barely above Kevin Love. Next year's finals even worse, as 78.3% of rebounds were uncontested. For the series, he ranked 5th in contested rebounds behind Kevin Durant. And of course 2018, once again in the low 70s, and ranking 5th in the series in contested boards per game. Look, stats are fine, they are useful, but looking at raw numbers with zero context, they can be highly deceiving. And unless you're LeBron James himself, putting up gaudy numbers in losses is not impressive.
I'm averaging a triple-double in the finals, I'm pretty good.
And looking back at Shannon Sharpe and Nick Wright, again, the parallels in these 2 debates, Brady versus Mahomes, LeBron versus Jordan, they are pretty eye-opening. And one thing I do also find pretty eye-opening is the overall gap in resume in both these comparisons, as these so-called GOAT challengers aren't even close in terms of resume. As looking at LeBron versus Jordan, that overall gap is 2 championships, 2 Finals MVPs, 1 MVP, 4 defensive teams, and 9 scoring titles. Looking at Brady versus Mahomes, that overall gap is even bigger. 5 championships, 1 MVP, 3 Super Bowl MVPs, 9 Pro Bowls, and over 400 total touchdowns. And unlike Jordan versus LeBron, Brady and Mahomes actually had a massive overlap in careers. And actually Brady beat Mahomes twice head-to-head, once in the AFC Championship, and then again in the 2020 Super Bowl. The gap between Brady and Mahomes, I would actually say is bigger than LeBron versus Jordan. But still the media pushes their narratives and their GOAT comparisons. And one thing I'll give Mahomes that I won't give LeBron James is that his window to be the GOAT is actually active and open. Of course, it's a very small window, nearly impossible. I don't think he'll do it, but it's a window nonetheless. LeBron's window to pass Jordan, I mean, that thing is being closed up, boarded up, bolted shut. There's razor wire, duct tape, and it's vacuum sealed. LeBron definitively isn't passing Jordan because his window is all but closed.
We're closed!
Now look, we've made a lot of NFL NBA parallels here, and one last one I do want to make is Pat Mahomes pay much respect for past eras, and especially Brady, the greatest quarterback in NFL history. Seeing that with Mahomes, I definitely appreciate. But with LeBron James, him crowning himself the greatest of all time numerous times, getting mocked for it every single time, something Pat Mahomes shouldn't do, I don't think will ever do. Because again, if the greatest of all time, you don't have to say it constantly and reinforce it every day of the week. And looking at Shannon Sharpe and Nick Wright, the LeBron fan media tactics, basketball, baseball, cricket, racquetball, it's going to be there no matter what. And seeing it in the Mahomes vs. Brady debate, again, pretty shocking and eye-opening. So, as always, thank you guys for watching, hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.